Peace, family. Um, this video is about basically police brutality and disrespect against the black community in general. I've been taking some time off from doing videos just so I can get a clear head, and because also so much stuff was happening at the same time. I mean, I'm gonna list about 7 things if you look to the side of the video. One of them is the Oscar Grant execution, the Adolph Grimes the third execution, um, the incident where the police officer shot a man in front of his mom's house in the driveway, driving his own car. Um, Another one is a cop stealing an Xbox and 360 game from a black man, and then other little miscellaneous disrespectful things, quite not quite as harsh or as dramatic as being shot or killed, but just disrespect, like the dumb nigger receipts, the drunken Negro face cookies, the Barack the Magic Negro song, and all of this other BS. I had to get my thoughts together because this type of stuff doesn't anger me because I don't expect it. What angers me is the reaction to a lot of my people over these incidents. And I think what people don't realize, and I'm trying to be as tactful in the way that I talk because I'm very, very angry and very upset at my own people, um, as well as the cops, but particularly against my own. Because sometimes things just go without saying. And there's certain things that are just logical that we need to accept, and it's not really open for freaking debate. And the fact that we're still talking about it pisses me off. And one of the things that pisses me off is black people turning into Sun Tzu when it comes to strategy and tactics against the police, but then never apply that same Sun Tzu Gandhi passive resistance philosophy when it comes to their own people. Like in regards to police, my people are collectively experiencing what they call Battered Womans Syndrome. And I looked it up. There are 4 general characteristics of Battered Womans Syndrome. And here are the 4. I'm going to read them to you, and you tell me if it applies. Number 1, the woman believes that the violence was her fault. Number 2, the woman has an inability to place the responsibility for the violence elsewhere. Number 3, the woman fears for her life and or her children's lives. Number 4, the woman has an irrational belief that the abuser is omnipresent and omniscient. Those are the 4 characteristics of Battered Women's Syndrome. And if you talk to any black person that you know about the police and what we should do in terms of the police, basically the responses that you're going to get 95% of the time is going to be centered around those 4 general characteristics of Battered Women's Syndrome. I mean, look at it. Anytime an incident happens, the first thing that black people say is, well, what did he do? He must have did something. And it enrages me. Another thing that enrages me about this whole is this thing that they do, and I've heard this a lot from a lot of people in regards to this subject. They teach submission to black males as an alternative or a solution to police brutality. So in other words, sit down, do what they say, follow every order. When you're lying on the ground and you're getting beat up with nightsticks, don't move. Don't do anything to counter the aggression that you're getting from the police. I have a question if you endorse that philosophy. How can you have a strategy minus an objective? Can anyone answer that for me that endorses submission as a solution to police brutality? Because an objective addresses the core and root of the problem. If you're not addressing the core and root of the problem, then you're not trying to solve the problem. You're basically a battered woman trying to exist in a violent and abusive situation. Submission is not a valid option for police brutality. Now, what is a valid option for police brutality? Well, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Let's just look at some of the criminal organizations used to protect nations. And I make no distinction between unorganized crime and government. It's the same thing to me. If anybody wants to debate me on that, feel free, and I'll explain what I mean. I won't go into that now. First, you have the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States. You have the Mossad of Israel. And they quote Proverbs chapter 11, verse 14, where it says, "Where no counsel is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety." Then you have the Italian Mafia. You have the Japanese Yakuza. You have the Chinese Triad. Now, why do I mention these groups? Because what I notice is in these communities, in the Italian community, Japanese, Chinese community, you don't really see many incidents of police brutality running rampant throughout these communities. And the reason why you don't is because they have organizations, official and non-official, or unofficial, specifically there in place to make sure that the constituents of that nation are protected against police brutality. And noticeably absent in the black community is an organization of such type. And keep in mind, these organizations in these other communities have no cognitive dissonance about using force and violence to make a point against people who abuse their constituency. No cognitive dissonance whatsoever. As a matter of fact, if you go to the movies, it's glorified. So, why is it that when the concept of using force as a deterrent to stop police brutality comes up in the black community, everybody starts, "Oh God, oh my God, how could you say that?" When every single nation of people have an organization geared toward protecting their constituents. The reason why this insanity continues is because bootlicking black leaders and bootlicking black constituents don't understand that peace equals a stalemate. That's what peace is. Peace is when aggression on either side is counterproductive. Peace is based on mutual respect. In other words, real recognizes real. When a real dude comes across another real dude, he ain't going to step to him because he knows he's going to go at him just as hard as he's going to go at him. And it ain't worth the headaches. And also, without the threat of force or reprisal, no checks and balances occur for abuse. So all of this so-called philosophies of submission, forgiveness, humility, peace, and all of this stuff, these are just tactics. And you cannot utilize tactics unless you have an objective. And the objective should be the protection of your people. So unless that's what you're talking about, you really need to shut the fuck up. If you can't be a soldier, and that's fine. Not everybody's meant to be a soldier. Not everybody's meant for the physical confrontation. Step the fuck out of the way and let the real soldiers deal with the problem and stop being a roadblock. Peace.